ready to unlock some incredible power, the power of your own mind.
That's what we're talking about today, yeah.
Today, we are diving deep
Into the mind.
into the Mind Illuminated by Culadasa
Excellent book.
to explore meditation
Yes.
and how we can use it to transform our lives.
Yeah, think of this deep dive as like
Like a guide
a guide,
to
exactly,
understanding how meditation works.
of the benefits.
The benefits.
And most importantly, how to actually like integrate it into your everyday life.
how to actually do it,
Yeah,
not just read about it.
right.
And what I really appreciate about Culadasa's approach
Okay.
is that it's like this perfect blend
Yes.
of ancient wisdom
Yeah.
and modern science.
He bridges that gap beautifully
Right, exactly.
between the traditional Buddhist teachings and then brings in neuroscience,
Yeah,
showing us how meditation is not just this mystical thing,
right.
but it's actually creating tangible changes in the brain itself.
Like a workout.
It is. It's like a brain workout.
For your brain, right.
Absolutely.
But you need the right guidance,
You do.
especially when you're first starting out.
Yeah. In Culadasa, he gives us a roadmap.
Okay.
He lays it out in 10 stages,
10 stages, why?
each building on the last.
Okay.
But we're not going to go through all 10 today,
Okay.
just to be clear.
Don't worry.
What we want to really stress here is that progress is not a straight line.
Right.
It's not linear.
You're going to go back and forth.
You might jump ahead. You might feel like you're going backwards.
Which can be discouraging.
It's part of the process. That's a thing.
Yeah.
It's totally normal.
Oh, good.
He even mentions that some beginners,
Okay.
they kind of tackle stages 1 and 2
At the same time?
simultaneously.
Interesting.
You know, working on developing stable attention
Right.
and mindfulness at the same time.
So it's not about rushing through.
No, it's not a race at all.
It's about understanding.
It's about understanding how your mind works.
Really how your mind works.
What's going on in there?
Yeah, so how do we even begin
Right.
to like navigate this inner world?
That's the big question, right?
Yeah, and there's this term in the book.
Okay.
It's called the mind system model.
Yes.
It seems pretty important.
Fundamental to Culadasa's approach.
Okay.
So instead of thinking of your mind as this one thing,
Okay.
think of it as a system
Okay.
made up of different subminds,
Subminds.
each with their own specific function.
Like departments in a company.
That's a great way to think about it.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah, you've got one that handles your senses, one that's all about emotions,
Okay.
another one's doing the thinking, the rational thought.
So it's not just one me in here.
Right.
It's like a whole team.
Exactly. A whole team of me's.
Wow.
And just like any team, there can be conflict,
Oh, I can imagine.
disagreements, power struggle,
For sure.
and the way these subminds interact.
Yeah.
That's what shapes your personality,
Really?
your behavior patterns, everything.
So you're saying these subminds are actually
They're shaping who you are.
shaping who I am.
Yeah.
That's kind of a lot to take in.
It's a big idea, isn't it?
It is. It is.
But here's the amazing thing about meditation.
Okay.
It allows us to become aware of these subminds,
We can actually see them
observe them without judgment.
without judgment. Okay.
And when you do that,
Yeah.
you can start to bring them into harmony.
That's where the true power comes in.
Exactly. The power of a trained mind.
What does that look like?
Imagine this.
Okay.
You're feeling angry
Yeah.
or anxious, right?
Happens all the time.
But instead of getting swept away by it,
Okay.
you can just observe it
Observe
with
it.
detachment,
Like it's not really me.
not suppressing it, just recognizing that it's a temporary state.
Okay.
It's just arising in your mind system.
That's incredible.
And that awareness,
Yeah.
that's where choice comes in.
Oh, I see.
Instead of being ruled by these emotions,
Right.
you get to choose how you respond.
That's amazing.
It's like you're taking back control.
Like I'm not just a slave to my emotion.
Exactly. You're taking the wheel.
I love that.
And that's just one example of how this mind system model can be so transformative.
Okay, so we're understanding our inner world,
Right.
but also how we see the world around us.
It affects everything.
It's like having this insider's guide
It is.
to how my mind works.
The ultimate user manual.
Right, but even with a roadmap,
Yeah.
there's going to be bumps in the road.
Of course, there always are.
What are some of those obstacles that we might face?
Well, let's talk about those in a bit.
So like we were saying, even with a roadmap,
Yeah.
there are going to be some bumps along the way.
There always are.
What are some of the common obstacles
Right.
that we might face on this path to a more mindful life?
Well, one of the biggest ones,
Eh.
and this is especially true for beginners,
Yeah,
is distraction.
it's distraction. Okay.
Have you ever sat down to meditate and your mind's just, oh my gosh, Yes.
A mile a minute.
It's like it knows.
Right.
It's like as soon as I try to quiet my mind,
Yeah.
it's like party time.
It's like, nope, we're not doing that.
It's
It's totally normal.
good.
Our minds are wired to think.
Okay.
That's what they do.
Right.
But here's the thing.
Okay.
The key is to not get carried away by them
Okay.
or judge yourself for having those thoughts.
It's not about getting rid of them completely.
No, not at all.
Okay.
It's about learning to observe them
Okay.
with a sense of detachment.
Okay.
Like, oh, there's a thought.
Oh,
And then gently
gently
bringing your attention back.
to the breath, right? To the breath. Exactly.
It's like training a puppy.
It is, isn't it?
You don't get mad at the puppy.
You just keep redirecting.
Not wandering off.
Yeah, you just gently guide it back.
Ex-
Patience and consistency.
Yeah. So what happens when we get distracted?
Right. When those thoughts pop up.
Which they will.
They will.
What do we do?
Culadasa has this technique he calls noting.
Noting. Okay.
And it's really simple.
Okay.
You just mentally label the distraction.
So if I'm thinking about dinner,
Yeah,
I would just say to myself, thinking.
exactly. Thinking, planning, worrying, whatever it is.
Okay.
No judgment.
Just acknowledging it.
Exactly, just observing.
Okay.
And then gently redirect your attention back to the breath.
To the breath. Okay.
And over time, as you
Yeah.
practice this,
Yeah.
you start to notice these patterns
In my thinking.
in your thinking,
Yeah.
these habitual patterns.
Yeah.
And you start to see
Which ones are helpful and which ones aren't.
exactly which ones are serving you.
And that's where the real growth happens, right?
That's where the transformation begins.
It's not just about feeling peaceful
No,
when I'm meditating
it's about taking that awareness
and bringing it into my life.
into your everyday experiences. Exactly.
So how does that actually work?
Okay, so
What are
yeah,
some of the insights?
right. Culadasa talks about some really profound insights
Okay.
that can completely change how we see ourselves and the
Yeah.
world.
Like what?
He talks about impermanence,
Okay.
emptiness.
Big concepts.
They're big concepts.
How do those connect to
Yeah.
this mind system model we've been discussing?
Right. So remember how we were talking about the subminds,
Yeah, the different parts of ourselves.
all those different parts, yeah, and how they're constantly interacting?
Yeah.
Well, impermanence means that all of those mental states,
Okay.
they're constantly changing.
They don't stay the same?
Nothing stays the same.
Okay. They arise.
They arise, they linger,
They linger.
and then they fade away.
They fade away.
Nothing is permanent,
That's it. Nothing is fixed.
not even the things that make me.
Even those deeply ingrained patterns.
Wow.
It's kind of a radical idea, isn't it?
It is. It's both liberating and kind of scary at the same time.
It is. It challenges everything we think we know about ourselves. Yeah. And then emptiness.
Right, emptiness.
What does that even mean?
It doesn't mean that things don't exist.
Okay.
It means that they don't have this fixed, independent self.
Okay. So instead of seeing myself
Yeah.
as this solid me,
Right.
I'm actually more like
More like a process.
a process.
A collection of processes
Okay.
that are constantly changing.
Constantly changing. So it's not,
Yeah.
this is who I am.
Right.
It's more like,
It's more like,
this is what's happening right now.
this is what's arising.
And that can change.
Exactly.
Right.
It can change. And
That's okay.
it's more than, okay, it's freeing.
Freeing.
Because let's say you're feeling angry.
Yeah.
Instead of getting caught up in that story of, I am angry,
Okay.
you can see it as just a temporary state.
Arising in my mind.
In your mind system, yeah.
Okay.
You can notice the thoughts,
Yeah.
the physical sensations,
Like the tension.
the tension, yeah.
Okay.
And you can choose how you respond.
Instead of just reacting,
Instead of just exploding,
this is really making sense.
it's a powerful shift in perspective.
Yeah, it's like he's giving us this roadmap
He is,
to understand not just our minds,
right,
but how to change our relationship
exactly. It's about transformation.
with ourselves and the world.
It's a journey.
It's a journey, okay.
And the Mind Illuminated gives us the tools.
And like any journey, there are going to be challenges,
Absolutely.
roadblocks.
Detours, moments of doubt.
So it's helpful to have a guide.
It is. And that's what Culadasa does.
Yeah.
He addresses these challenges head on.
Okay, like what?
He talks about these things called the 5 hindrances.
The 5 hindrances. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, the 5 hindrances.
Yeah.
So we're back
Back for the final part
with this final part
of our deep dive.
into the Mind Illuminated.
That's right.
And we've been uncovering
Lots of insights.
so many insights about the mind and
How it works.
the challenges we might face.
Right.
But I want to talk about the practical side of things.
Okay, yeah.
Like, what do we actually do?
Right. How do we apply this stuff?
Yeah, what can we take away from this?
So Culadasa gives us a lot of practical advice.
Okay.
But one of the most fundamental practices
Yeah.
is establishing a regular meditational practice.
So it's not just about
Yeah.
meditating when I feel stressed,
No, it's not just a quick fix.
or if I have a few minutes.
Right.
It's about making it a regular practice.
It's like brushing your teeth.
Right.
You don't just do it when you remember.
Right.
You do it every day.
Okay, got it.
So Culadasa recommends starting with even just 10 or 15 minutes a day
Okay, I can do that.
and see what happens.
But once I'm sitting there,
Right.
what am I actually doing?
Okay, so he starts with this really simple technique.
Okay.
He calls it the basic practice,
Okay.
and it involves focusing your attention on your breath.
On my breath. Okay.
Yeah, particularly at the nostrils.
Okay. I can breathe.
You got this.
But what about
What about...
my mind wandering?
Ah, yes.
Because it will wander.
It will. It will.
What do I do then?
Remember those distractions we talked
The
about?
5 hindrances.
Exactly. They're going to show up.
Okay.
But the key is
Right.
to gently guide your attention back to the breath
Okay.
every time it wanders.
It's time.
Yeah, over and over.
So for restlessness, for example,
Yeah, restlessness, that's a big one.
that feeling.
Yeah,
of,
feeling of it.
some can't sit still.
I got to get up, I got to move.
Yes, exactly.
Culadasa suggests countering that with a
Right.
sense of patience
Patience. Okay.
and tranquility.
Easier said than done.
Right. But he gives us some tools.
Like what?
Visualize a peaceful scene
Okay.
or repeat a calming phrase to yourself.
So just having some tools to help us recenter
Exactly.
when those hindrances pop up.
And they will pop up.
So as we get better at working with those hindrances,
Yeah.
what happens?
Well, we start to move through those stages of meditation.
That we talked about earlier.
Okay.
Our concentration gets stronger.
Okay.
And then,
What happens?
things start to shift.
Like what?
Might start to have those aha moments.
Really, we get to those.
We get to those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By practicing.
By practicing. Exactly.
Okay.
And Culadasa introduces more advanced techniques.
Okay, like what?
He talks about developing a nimitta.
A nimitta, what's that?
So a nimitta
Yeah.
is basically a mind-generated object of meditation.
A mind-generated
Yeah.
object of meditation.
Like a mental representation.
Okay.
It could be a visual image,
Okay.
like a point of light,
Okay.
or a feeling of peace or clarity.
And I use that as my focus.
Exactly. It becomes the focal point for your attention.
Okay. So it's like we're training our mind
We're training our minds
to focus
Yeah.
like a laser.
like a laser beam.
But what is the ultimate goal
The ultimate goal,
of all of this?
Culadasa calls it awakening.
Awakening. What does that mean?
It's a big word.
It is. But essentially, it's a profound shift in perspective
Yeah.
where we start to see through this illusion
Illusion of what?
of a separate self.
Okay.
And we start to experience this
Yeah.
deep sense of interconnectedness with everything.
Okay, so is this something
Yeah.
that anyone can achieve?
Culadasa would say yes.
Really?
That the potential for awakening
Yeah.
exists within all of us.
Okay.
It's not something you achieve overnight.
Okay.
It's a gradual unfolding.
Okay.
It happens through practice.
So it's not about
Right.
reaching some perfect state of enlightenment.
No, it's not about being perfect.
It's more about the journey
It's about the journey.
and using these teachings as a guide.
Exactly. The Mind Illuminated gives us the map.
Okay, so we have the map.
We have the tools.
We just have to take
The first step
that first step.
Yeah.
And that first step could be
could be a single.
a
Mindful
mindful breath.
That's it.
So as we wrap up
Yeah.
this deep dive,
Our deep dive into the Mind Illuminated.
I encourage you
We encourage you
to
to
take that first step.
explore these teachings.
Explore, yeah.
See what resonates with you.
See what resonates with you.
And discover
The power of your own mind.
the power of your own mind.
That's it. That's the journey.